always sounds so much better on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, are we going?
Oh, my gosh.
We're looking
I don't
at
know.
my phone. Okay.
I'm just sitting here. I was going to talk about constipation and cows and
what they have to
pregnant
do with
pigs.
each other.
All right. I think we should start. Sync it up there. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Tell Mom podcast.
Hello, everyone. Cullen, what number are we on?
103.
Oh my gosh, you do know what that means?
103. I do. I'm getting better with my
math. Do you know
math.
what 52 plus 52 is?
Oh my gosh, 112? Is that right?
No, idiot. It's 104. That means we are one episode away from our 2-year podcasting anniversary.
Oh, because there's 52. I got
That's how I do math. I just,
yeah,
I don't know. I wasn't looking at 365 or I wasn't looking at the dates. Usually my Facebook memories will tell me when it's time for something important to happen. But
why did I say 112? Oh, because I said 2 and then I just carried
he really
one.
didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought he was just, I thought you were just kidding around.
No, I did. I just did. I was trying to go fast off the cuff.
Hey, you know what I always say? There's 3 types of people in this world. Those that are good at math and those that aren't.
Wait.
Think about it. So we're
like, that's only 2.
Obviously, I'm not. Yeah. So next week is going to be our 2-year anniversary. Cullen, what are we going to do?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Was it the...
That's what I'm saying. 52 plus 52 is 104. So this is episode 103. That means next week is 104, which means that's 2 whole years we have been doing the Don't Tell Mom podcast where anything and everything goes, Cullen.
Wait, so was it a year ago that...
You jumped out of a
Somebody
plane.
jumped out of a plane.
You. That was you.
2 people jumped out. 1 came back. How many?
How many survived?
If there were 10 cats on an airplane and 1 jumped off, how many are left?
1.
1?
Wait, say that again.
if there were 10 cats on an airplane and 1 jumped out, how many are left?
9.
No, see, you're not good at math either.
What do you mean?
There were 9 left because they were all copycats.
Stupid.
Dad jokes.
You know what the best joke I've heard all year is? Annie, our sister, and I texted you right after. But my sister texted me and said, "Hey, what was it? What is 50 Cent?
What did 50 Cent do when he was hungry?"
Yeah, what did 50 Cent do when he was hungry? And I'm thinking the rapper, and I'm like, what? I don't know what. Like, what a weird thing to text somebody.
Yeah.
And then she just types in the number 58. Tell me that I literally laughed out loud.
It's one of those that takes a minute.
I mean, literally, I laughed out loud. Like, I don't laugh out loud for anything. I say it all the time, like LOL, but I don't actually
Y'all both texted it to me at the exact same time. My phone, I was in the pool and I came over and I was like, "What did 50 Cent do when he was hungry?" And then, "What did 50 Cent do when I was like, wait, what? Is this like a typo? Like, is my phone jacked up?" Because I got the same joke from my sisters.
I was like, oh my gosh, I got to tell Cullen this.
And so I'd already heard it, though, when the guys were putting together our swing set. I overheard.
Somebody.
They were telling
it.
And
beat us to the punchline.
Yeah, he was like, 58, fool. I already knew that joke. It was funny.
Well, I texted to Corey right after you, and he just wrote back 58. Like, ha, you're stupid. I was like, come on. The best jokes in the whole world are the really cheesy ones.
Yeah, they are.
How many Mexicans does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Oh, I've heard that one.
Just one?
Just one. One.
Those are so good, right?
Don't get into the racial debates
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry, I wasn't going there.
Thank you for all the support and love on the last podcast where we kind of
you were so nervous. Me and Mom talked about it. We were like, Cullen's never been so nervous talking about a subject.
I didn't want to screw up the way, get some clip of somebody twisting my words around and all that, but at the end of the day, it's
the reality too of the world that you live in with the and just being a social media presence is that you're gonna have people clap at you all the time and little trolls and stuff and they want to twist your words around and I don't know. I've just seen some people just get completely annihilated. They'll be trending because they said the wrong thing. So we didn't want you to be trending because you slipped and said something the wrong way that got misinstrued. The bottom line is that I think you and I both have good hearts and we're good people and we're never trying to offend anybody ever. And we're just trying to give our take on things.
Yeah. Well, and
we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
It's crazy because growing up, you could say and that was how many times did I say and no offense to anybody out there that is in this category, because anyway, how many times would you say something and I would say, oh, that's gay? Or, and now if you say that, then it's derogatory and, you're like...
But you didn't mean it. It's like, oh, your intentions aren't bad. You were just kind of, that
as a 12-year-old boy, that's all I would reply with.
Right.
That joke was gay.
Yeah.
But Let's
now,
crack open a Red
Bull. Dude, just talking about being offended, it's so funny because right when you said it, I looked down at the coffee cup that I'm drinking out of right now. Oh, Jesus. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, the coffee, you can see it, but the coffee cup was a joke for my husband, and that's the reason that we have it. But it's a picture of Trump giving the smoochy face, like he's giving you a kiss. Mwah. And it says, I want you on my side of the wall. And I got him this, right when all that stuff was right when he got elected, and it was all that stuff about how he was going to build a wall and everything. And if y'all don't know, my husband is a dirty immigrant. He is from Canada. Just kidding. Immigrants, y'all aren't dirty.
He's sticky. He's got syrup on him.
Right. So he's a Canadian. And I was like, what if they build a wall on your side too? What are we going to do? But it was a big joke or whatever. And so that's why I actually have a coffee cup with Trump on it. But I also have a toilet brush cleaner that's Trump with his hair as the brush part too. So,
It goes both ways. And
I think that's how much I love this guy.
That's the beauty behind, we can take a joke, we can give a joke. And we don't mean, we love everybody. Like I said last time, we all bleed the same color.
Right. I saw something that was good this week, and it was it said something like, I love you, and then it was like a meme or one of those little things that, it's like a little paragraph, and it was like, if people can hate for no reason, I can love for no reason.
Yeah,
why are you saying you love me? You don't even know me. It's like, well, I can love anybody I want. If you can hate everybody, then I can love everybody.
Exactly. Well, to kind of update, I feel like, I don't know, I think last time before the podcast started, or while we were podcasting last week, it was the Blackout Tuesday was happening, so we didn't post for a couple days. And just kind of...
I was wondering if that was going to happen today. Today's Tuesday, too.
Yeah, but there was a lot of good that came out of that. And then I want to say that I feel like the more coverage that I've seen this week has been over 30,000 in downtown LA protesting peacefully. And then people... I feel like there's a lot more... There are still random... bits of news here and there where you see the old man getting pushed and
I saw that, yeah.
But overall, I feel like, oh wow, this is actually, people are actually I-85 was trending yesterday on Twitter, I believe, Interstate 85
in Atlanta,
and I don't know I think it was in LA, but they literally marched up onto the interstate and blocked both sides of the interstate. And,
in San Fran, I saw a picture.
Yeah, something like that.
Where the bridge is closed in because there's people protesting on it.
Yeah, so
I think it's cool that
together.
I think it's cool that when something happens, so many people can get together and do that. I love the fact that we have a right to protest in our country. I love the fact that we have the freedom of speech and all these things that make America so wonderful. You know what I mean? That make this the place that you want to be. But,
I will say there was one scare this past week which I didn't even know this. I don't know how protesting works as far as getting it started and organizing it. And
Cullen, gross.
What's up?
Don't tell Mom.
My mom told me that.
No, she did not.
Baking soda. But the KKK got a protesting permit. So apparently you have to get a permit approved to protest, and I don't know where you even begin to do that.
And who would give one to the KKK?
Well, it's free. It's the freedom of the America.
The beauty of it goes both ways.
But there was a bunch of scared. I wouldn't say scared. The black race wasn't scared. They were bring it on, But as far as the community or in general, there were some bomb threats. UAB downtown shut down at 2 p.m. last week because of this. And
we're still under curfew and stuff, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I don't go out.
Yeah, no, we are. I went out to go get some chlorine for the little inflatable hot tub last week, and I pulled up at 7. I was like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, the Walmart was boarded up. I saw that.
Yeah, they boarded that up because they got a scare. So I don't know, just preparing for the protests, and I don't know. It's interesting. It's definitely slowing down, I feel like, in some cities, but it's also still very prevalent in others. But
I have been so involved in, I said this last week, and I'm not just trying to cry ignorant, but I am, because I really don't really, I'm not paying that much attention to it. What I'm paying attention to is my newborn and the 1-year-old that is driving me crazy. So I'm really out of the loop, I feel like, on a lot of these things, which is why I try not to speak intelligently about any of it. Right. But on this podcast, I have to speak, I have to say something, right? I can't just sit here. So I feel like I don't really know, because I haven't been watching the news a lot. But one of the things I did hear was that that they're trying to like stop funding the police departments or something. Like, how is that going to work?
I don't know. I've heard of that too. Yeah.
Well, who thought that was a good idea? I'm sorry, but I just think that's like, and maybe I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know the details about it. It was just literally like in passing, I heard like one of the things they're trying to do is like stop funding the police department, and I'm just like, wait, what? And I haven't really had a chance to sit down to like look into that or what the actual terms of that agreement would be. But what? Please don't do that. What if I need them?
Exactly. Well, that was one of the videos I was going to reference to, and you said that was a Republican, I think. I'm pretty sure it was talking about how we even talked about this on the podcast one time. I think you were either about to have some type of procedure, go to the doctor to get a checkup or something one time. Me and Katie talked about our break-in story where we called the cops on ourselves, basically.
Yeah.
But the people that you have trusted or looked to when you hear a creak in the attic or in the basement, you're talking about cutting them off. Like, I don't know what I would have done that night if I didn't have them ready to risk their lives to come investigate my dark-ass basement that I was too scared to go in. Like,
what if there was actually somebody down there with a gun trying to...
Right. Like,
that was crazy.
That's just... So, yeah, that's just... there's no way. Like, how is that going to happen?
Please don't do that, y'all. Please don't even let that be what you're trying to go for, because that's just not going to happen. First of all,
there are a lot of bad cops, and
what about the lives that matter? What about the people that work for the police department that are gonna that would lose their jobs? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then how are they going to feed their family? Like, come on, y'all. The police department is full of good people.
Yeah.
There's some bad apples in there. I saw something else that I thought funny. I think it was Chris Rock or somebody that I think's hilarious. But he said something like you can't have bad apples in the police department, which is so true, because it's like, oh, well, there's always going to be some bad apples. And I think there are really in every profession even. But he was saying like, you don't want the airlines to hire a bunch of people and most of them be good, but there's some bad apples. Like, you don't want there to be bad apples. You don't want any pilots that are bad apples.
There's few jobs that we do as citizens of the United States of America that require 100% of good apples.
Good apples. We need all good apples on this.
On the police, on the police side, doctors, pilots, like you said, like you gotta have
bus drivers,
good apples.
We don't want
we just randomly get on this big metal tube that throws us in the air and just hope that that's not a bad apple flying it.
Right. Like Denzel had a few.
Oh my gosh.
See that movie Flight?
I don't think I have.
What? You haven't seen Flight with Denzel?
No.
Oh my gosh, you have homework. Guess what you're doing today?
Where can you find Flight?
He lands the plane upside down.
See, that would give me nightmares.
And he'd been drinking.
She would never.
Well, if he had been drinking, I don't know if he would have even came up with that sweet idea and that saved all these lives. Because there was 4 people that died, and so then he's under investigation. And they find out he was drinking, and he was, and
that's like a real life story, like some New York pilots.
I think
didn't they get because you can basically put it on autopilot these days and just sit back and have a cocktail. I'm not saying you should, pilots.
Yeah, please. We want all good apple pilots. All good apples.
When we got our playset put together a couple of weeks ago, I asked the guys, I was like, how long y'all been doing this? And the guy said, this is my first day. I said, well, I'm glad I'm not getting on an airplane. Putting a playset together, you can make a few mistakes here and there, but flying an airplane?
Hey, here's the thing, Cullen. Every pilot has to have their first day on the job,
Oh, my gosh.
They don't tell y'all what day that is. Because I'm sure it'd be a little cheaper on South, but they'd be doing one of Southwest deals.
Well, like when you go to the fast food joint to get a burger and it takes 5 extra minutes because you got the apprentice or the manager over the apprentice, like, no, you need to push that button, and then you need to push that button. You're talking about with the police force and with the air pilot, you're a split second. You can't be like, hold on.
Shoot that guy, not that guy.
Yeah, well, you pushed the wrong button. Oh, you pulled the wrong trigger. Like, you can't, you got to have 100%.
If anything, we need to put more money in the police department for better training.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Let's train these people to, like, know better than to kill people, you know. Well, like, okay, just speaking of, I actually had an experience with maybe it's her first date, I don't know, but it was a nurse when I had the baby. And
another one you can't,
Well, I just posted this vlog today, so y'all can watch it on Southern Fried Maple Leafs, plug. But no, it was a nightmare experience. I think I've said that last week, but it was a nightmare experience at the hospital when I had the baby. And the nurse, there was two of them, and I want to say in the beginning, but I was like in the middle of a contraction. She was like, "Oh, I'll be overseeing her." Like, she had somebody shadow her.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
man.
you know, when you get a waitress that has their, you know, waiter superior shadowing them, it's the same thing, but with nurses, I guess. So she puts my IV in. We can't get my IV in. I'm bleeding all over the place.
Worst.
It was so bad. Couldn't find, and I've got good, strong veins. I don't understand what's the problem here, but she couldn't get that. And then they let the same lady put my catheter in.
Oh, man.
So she couldn't get that in either, and I had to have a stitch in my pee hole.
Oh, I'd be like, Shadow, I need some light. Get out of my way.
Yeah, like, why? Why would y'all let her first day on the job take care of me? What did I drew the short straw, I guess. I don't know, but yeah,
I guess, like you said, everybody's got to have a first day on everything. That's crazy. Yeah, like even.
But we just don't want any bad. We don't want anybody that's like morally fucked up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, don't give me the serial killer doctor.
We're at a new pool for the summer, and I was looking up at the lifeguard stands, thinking, you know, like I used to do that, and I don't know. Our kids are.
You're like, what were these people thinking, letting me guard their children's life?
Well, our kids are at a weird age where Gaines can swim like a fish, and Brooks is still in his puddle jumper because he's just he's in a weird age. Whenever we actually did finally get to the pool, Gaines, we started her off at like 6 months because it was summer, or you know,
the way it worked out.
So he's a little more timid, and so he's in his puddle jumper just floating around. But we're back behind the one row of the crowd essentially, and we're just on alert, like, okay, where's our kids? Where's the kids? But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, it ain't my job to watch my kids.
Right, that's what we got
it's his job.
For.
But then I'm like, what if it's his first day? Not really. I watched my kids very intently. I'm like overly. I've actually jumped in after my kids.
Whatever. We know you're there scrolling on Instagram.
Well, that brings me to the next thing. Is like, one, I had my first day as a lifeguard back in the day, and I remember being super nervous and like, what if somebody ends up drowning, or I have to do CPR on my first day, and this, that, and the other. And then Katie brought up the point of back in the day when I was going through all the training and having to sit up there, I wasn't used to, when I'm sitting there by myself, being able to just pick up my phone and scroll through Twitter or play Words with Friends or whatever the case was.
There was no Twitter.
There was none of that. But these kids these days, 16-year-old, 18-year-old, are used to the...
My watches are buzzing.
Yeah, like they're sitting there and I'm like, what are they thinking about right now? Like, how boring... Gaines was even like, is it boring being a lifeguard? Because they're just sitting there.
They don't get an iPad up there?
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know. Like, just putting it in perspective a little bit about how digital the age is that we live in now versus what it was. Because back then it was like, well, okay, whatever. I'm going to look at kids swimming because that's what I got to do. And I'd flex every so often if I saw a pretty girl walking by or something. But, like, other than that, like... You didn't
have words
these days, I'm like, oh, it's quiet. Where's my phone? I need to look at something.
Yeah.
You know, like...
You just constantly fill in your mind with hogwash and people's opinions and bullshit. Yeah. It's like, what are we really looking at?
Speaking of filling your brain and your life with bullshit, or not necessarily bullshit, but with extra things. I don't know if you remember the couple I talked about one time, the last 90 days when we did that.
Oh yeah.
And they basically have created this empire of Rise Together. They've got a podcast called Rise Together, and they've built this Hollis corporation. It's Rachel and Dave Hollis.
I've heard the names.
Just huge, blew up as far as like creating an organization and having these live events and huge sold out live tours, and talked about marriage and relationships and
y'all
getting healthier.
Went through all that stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. Well, they posted last night, and I thought it was a joke at first, but they both posted at the same time, or about an hour apart, I guess, that they were ending their marriage. And I'm like,
dun dun dun.
What the hell? Like this couple that portrayed. I mean, granted, I'm not like everybody has. They've been married for 18 years, I believe, but a part of me has to look at it and be like, they freaking have so much on their plate. He just wrote a new book. She's
their
got
lives blew up with
4 new bestsellers on Amazon. I mean, on New York Times bestseller. And
can I get my money back?
Well, there's a bunch of comments that said that on their posts, like y'all were advocates for a healthy marriage and fighting through it and rising together and getting through the ashes.
Those that can't teach, I guess.
And it's just like a part of me has to look at the society we live in. And was it that, or was it just 18 years of continual, and the way they posted it and the way they did it was very mutually respectful, and they seem like they have a great friendship. But
has there been any downtime in between, like them giving this marital advice and stuff like that? Has there been any has there been like a pause from it, or were they just selling, and preaching and doing talks and stuff? Like, were they selling that to their fans like a week ago, and then all of a sudden they're going through a divorce, or was there some time in between? Like we actually stopped working and took time to try to, like, were they practicing what they preaching or no?
They've been through a lot of counseling, they said in their post, and have probably tried to work through it several. He was he overcame alcohol addiction and just finished a marathon last year, first time, and she's run a marathon. So they've been through all these like life-changing, finding your true self events.
They fix themselves.
They fix themselves, and I think that's also another aspect to it is after being in the fog for so long, you go through these like huge milestones and life-changing events. You create a company together, a huge company where you got a branch, move to California from Texas and vice versa, have 2 different locations, I believe. And
then they're doing events,
and
they're
it's
doing
just nonstop. That you didn't have time for each other, I don't think. They were doing live shows every Monday on Facebook at 8 a.m. sharp. And I'm not going to...
It's crazy. What they're teaching is what tore them apart, though, if that's the case.
I would be lying if I couldn't tell in some of their live streams that there was some animosity behind the scenes. It's kind of like when me and Katie were going through our stuff, like, people would comment when we finally kind of came out with the whole addiction story and stuff, talking about how they could tell that there was something going on, but they just couldn't pinpoint it.
Yeah.
And so at first glance, I was shook. And then, like, after thinking about it, I'm like, well, they both found themselves. They're both 2 totally different people. The sad part about it is they've got 4 kids, 1 adopted, and, like, they're making, I guess it's not necessarily
sad. It's super sad.
I mean, it's also super responsible, though, if they're doing it mutually, and it's not like a thing that's happening due to hate. Or, there's not like...
Yeah, it's not... Well, it hadn't got messy yet. Everybody comes out thinking that it's going to we're going to be on the same page and co-parent and do it right and be best friends.
And they've built a company based on them.
Yeah, so what happens with their company now?
They said they're going to still continue doing it as best friends, and like I don't know.
How do you sell a book on how to keep your marriage together if you're divorcing? I don't understand how that would work.
I don't know. They're gonna have to change their business strategy, I think. But like, I don't know. This may also be a step to talk about how to do that and how to finding yourself even more. I don't know. It was just like I was like in shock. I was like, wow.
Hey, they're not the first ones that ever do it, though.
No,
there's not. People. What is it like? More people get divorced now than stay married. I hope that I never divorce.
That was going to be my question. Was like, what's your take on divorce as far as?
Our parents never divorced.
No, not legally.
Not legally. But they were. They kept. I think that was kind of on purpose.
Right.
Or maybe they just didn't have the legal fee. I don't know. But
yeah.
But like they stayed, they stayed together till we were all out of the house.
Right. They kept it all cordial.
Yeah.
And then once everything, after we all moved out, they kind of
then they moved out of the same house.
Yeah, as far as
so
that
it was
goes.
very responsible. I think it was a responsible way to do it for people that are just trying to navigate their own lives and don't know how to do it. When you have kids, and our parents had 4 kids too. You try to do whatever's best for the kids. And I think that the thing that was best for us was to have our dad still in the home with us, even if they didn't sleep in the same rooms, which was not weird for us. But to have both of our parents there that we saw every day when we came home from school, or you know what I mean? I think that was what was best for us, because that's the only thing that happened. So I don't know what the alternative was as far as what I believe in and what I want to believe in. Yes, I have tons of friends that have gotten divorced, or that, have, like I said, more people I think these days get divorced. I'm not a very religious person, so I don't have that big thing about like the religion part about it, where like you shouldn't divorce because of that. So I don't really have that kind of bearing down on me like I know a lot of people might. I just don't want to. Like I picked my person, and then we're gonna make it.
Exactly. Well, and that's and how fed up. And that was another aspect to this Rachel and Dave thing, is it was the quarantine where she couldn't, or he couldn't, vice versa.
Oh, I wonder if
escape to the office to go, because she posted an Insta story talking about how she would go to the gynecologist right now if she could. I just want to get out of this house. She was just like, when you actually are forced to have to be with the person that you quote unquote love, which I'm sure there's love. I mean, I'm not denying their love for each other at all, but when you're forced to make something out of nothing, happen, at the end of the day, is it even really worth it after even 18 years when you found your new self? I don't know. I've seen Will Smith talk about it on
I love him.
Not a podcast.
I love you, Will Smith. Can we tag him in this?
Yeah,
I
buddy.
love you, Will.
Oh, man. I know all your songs.
If I ever need
Big Willie
counseling,
style.
if I feel like I need counseling, I would just, can you be in it for me? Can you counsel me?
He's got a very popular talk show, or he talked on a talk show about divorce, because there's probably rumors, I think, at the time about him and Jada.
Can you imagine being famous and having all these ratchet thoughts come at you, I had sex with him, and having to be the wife of somebody that's super, I don't know.
But his whole take was divorce is not an option. That was his quote from that whole thing that I took away. Divorce is not an option. Take
it off the table. Everybody thinks they just sling that word around these days.
So crazy. Katie and I are actually going to sit down and talk about...
Don't tell me you're getting a divorce.
No.
You dropped the whole weed, the whole addiction thing on the podcast when I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know you were going to do it. Please don't drop any more big life things on the podcast without telling me first.
No, divorce is not an option. I
agree with that. I think divorce is not an option.
Yeah, we have worked through probably the toughest parts so far in our marriage as far as all that goes. But there was a time during that whole...
y'all been quarantined together too for years. So exactly. If y'all can get through it, anybody can.
We had a head start as far as all that goes, working together from home. But there was some stuff that I didn't even know about that she hasn't even talked about, as far as how far the D word went with our relationship, that we're going to probably sit down and talk about in a future video, or she may even talk about it on her podcast by herself. I don't know. She mentioned it the other night, and I was like, "What? You went there? You took it that far? Oh my god!"
I gotta know now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was close. We were really close. But
see that, I just think of it as a cuss word, to ever even have, it's the D word.
The D word, yeah.
It's the bad word. We don't even bring that word up. That word doesn't come into the conversation.
Well, and see, even could you imagine?
Die, maybe.
Yeah.
But D, no.
Could you imagine? We have a business together. We have an LLC. We work together from home. We have just a tiny little YouTube channel in comparison to the Hollis company that have this massive, books after books after books, and daily journals and merch, and company with I don't even know the number of employees. It's 100 employees. I don't know, but people running their social, all this stuff that they have to
employees
filter through. But me and Katie were still sitting there one night talking about okay, well, if this is going to happen, we're going to have to get this situated, and who's going to take what of this, and
they're like, I'll stick it out with you. it's not even worth like separating assets, and we got to get a lawyer. I mean, come on, can we just make up? We just bang it out real quick.
Oh man, yeah, right. So I don't know. We're going to talk about it more in depth, I think, or she is. I don't know, but
I got to go listen to her podcast, try to figure out what the hell you're talking about.
She hadn't said it yet, but she mentioned it on her stories, I think, one night. But I don't know, even like looking back at the whole Hollis, the Rachel and Dave Hollis thing, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, damn, like, is this something that is like, because she was...
You're like starting to reconsider because...
No, I'm not reconsidering. I'm starting to kind of get nervous, like not nervous, but like it did cross my mind. I was like, she's finding herself. I've found myself. I've stopped doing the drugs and alcohol and stuff that I was doing so prevalently back in the day. She's, has this
Y'all have gone through these big life changes.
Boundary setting and like insecurity and like getting her natural hair back and, all this shit. And I'm like, she's sitting here going, reading their posts going, well, they found themselves. They're totally two different people now.
She's getting inspired by them.
And I'm like, no, stop. Well, no, we don't want to.
No, same people.
Let's go back to their old ways.
Yeah.
Not really.
Same people that like counseled y'all basically through their podcast and everything that like kept y'all together is now breaking up. And so Katie's like, maybe we could divorce. Maybe we could make this.
I'm going to go sign up for a marathon and let's see if that changes my life. And no. You're not going in on any marathons right now, big girl.
No, we ain't doing this.
You can't find yourself any more than you already have. You were good.
I think that like you can grow together, you can grow apart. One thing that I'm happy for myself that I did personally, and one of the reasons I feel strongly about the fact that my relationship will last, is that I found myself already. You know what I mean? I waited till I was 30-something years old before I got married and started having babies. I'm 34 right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've been married, 2 years, 3 years, something like that. So it's like I already went through my 20s, and I went through, and y'all I know got married younger, but like that's one thing I'm happy that I did. I got it all out of my system. I've traveled the world. I've partied with the best of them. You know what I mean? I've partied like a rock star, baby.
You know what
and I know. And I've been through relationships through those years and through my 20s that I knew what I did want and what I didn't want. I almost got married before Corey.
Yeah.
And I knew, and during that time, I changed into a different person. Like I found myself during that time. And if I had married him, then we would have been divorced right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I already went through those things, and I really knew myself really well. And I think that that's something that you can't really do until you're older, personally. I don't think that you can know yourself at 20 years old. I don't think that you can really know what's gonna be your forever with it, when you're not developed yet mentally. I don't know. And I might be changing my mind at 40, and saying, oh, well, I'm a whole different person than I was when I was 35. But I'm glad that I did it that way for myself, because I know I would have been divorced right now if I had gotten married before.
Yeah. Well, and another, like, what happens if you hit that stock market? Boom.
Boom. Bye, Corey.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're saying is, like, the fame and the money got to their heads, as well as the responsibility and the aspect of, like, just growing, like growing out of their own skin, essentially. And now...
Hey, maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe we've got this whole thing wrong. Maybe we are meant to be divorced and remarried 3 times a person of the lifetime. Maybe Corey's going to be my person through my 30s, and that I'm going to have babies.
You're going to have 3 houses and 3,
right? And then maybe this will run its course, and he'll be out, and then we'll move on to the next one, and I'll enjoy my 40s with him, and then I'll enjoy my 50s plus with another one, and then I'll be chasing them around the old people home. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I hope that's not the case, because I'm a romantic. And I'm very, like, I really want to believe in the fact that I'm going to grow old with somebody. That I'm going to be next to the same. I want the Notebook where we die holding each other's hands. That's what I've
thought about that several times. I'm like, who's going to even think one of my kid, Gaines, 5-year-old, is like, out of nowhere, where she was talking about like somebody dying or something, because they're still trying to process, like, you know, they don't know what dying means. But Brooks out of nowhere was like, I think I'll die first. And we're like, no, Brooks, you don't want to say that. Like, it's not a competition. Like, everything is like, I want to win.
I love him.
And so we're talking about, like, in the hot tub, don't go under if the bubbles are on and if no parents are out there, because you could go under and drown and then you'd die, you know, like.
Yeah.
And so then Gaines was like, who do you think would die first between you and Daddy, Mommy? And I was like, oh, my God, that's such a deep question. Especially at this day and age when you're like, I'm 37, so I'm creeping up there, you know, and my body hurts when I wake up. And I'm like...
Probably me.
Yeah, like...
You just got a reality check. You're trying to enjoy yourself in the hot tub, and you're like, God.
But no, it crosses your mind. Like, when you get to the end of the road, or, you know, whatever the day is, you could die on the way home, you know? Right, like, it could be a tornado come through tonight. Who knows? But, like, at what point, like, I don't know, like, who would die first, and then how would you deal with that? Like, especially after all these years of... fighting and loving and
would you remarry?
That's the thing. Katie said.
Have y'all talked about that?
Katie said she hopes and prays that I would remarry and be as happy as I can be.
No, I said no.
She doesn't want me to live in a depressed state. Like, and granted, not the day after she dies or anything. Go out and get a new,
right, like,
new
woo,
shit.
time to party. Go down to the Wesley's booby trap.
But, like, she hopes, and I do too, like, you don't want somebody, because also, like, with our brother-in-law, Kelly and Jay, his mom died in a car wreck. I mean, his mom, I don't know if I said mom and dad, but his mom died in a car wreck, and his dad's still alive. And so a couple months ago, there was I think somebody mentioned something about how he was talking to another lady from church or something like that, you know, because at the end of the day, you're still a human, and you still need that nurturing love from the other sex, if that's the way you swing. But yeah, I don't know. I would hate.
Is it too soon?
I would hate to think about my wife with another man.
I'd haunt your ass.
Well, you know,
I'd come around. I'd be ghosting you.
I've heard people say that too. Yeah, like
no. We talked about it, and I was like, no, for real. If it was like tomorrow and I died, yes, I want you to find a nice lady to help raise our kids, and that's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, but they have to be perfect and just like me, even look like me. But
maybe have my name,
right? That's fine. But no, like I think that there's like a timeline. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you can remarry if you're of this age or sooner. But after this one, like, if I die when I'm 80 and you're 82 or 79, then no, don't go look for. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't know. Whatever makes you happy, it's fine.
I mean, at a certain age, as a guy, I don't think I'd want to.
But the timeline after, like, at least mourn my death. Mourn my death, you know. If you got the insurance check cut and you've already met somebody before the insurance checks come in, then it's too soon.
There's a podcast that your husband recommended to me called Cold, where they talk about cold cases and stuff. And this dude drugged his wife. He talked about how she needed to get plastic surgery to look better and sexier and blah, blah, blah. He was actually a doctor too. She got plastic surgery, I think, on her face. Got some type of plastic surgery.
He made his own woman.
He was trying to, but his alibi or his workaround was trying to get her to where she would have plastic surgery and then get her drugged up, trying to overdose on her, and then she ended up drowning in the bathtub or something. Well, the whole time there was this mistress. It's kind of like the whole the recent Chris Watts. Have you heard about that guy? The Chris Watts guy. Anyway, he ended up killing his family and 2 daughters that are 4 and 2, and then just I don't know where they went. And then there's like security footage of him with the ring, and it's stupid. But this guy on this podcast,
shows like that. I haven't seen that one. I don't think.
Well, this is a true story that happened not too long ago. But
so sad.
The guy on this podcast, Cold, that I was listening to, had the mistress at his wife's funeral. And then hired her to be the quote-unquote nanny for his now motherless kids.
That he killed.
It's just like, So
she's on the payroll.
Going back to that, it's like, yeah, you don't want that mistress at your funeral.
It kind of makes you think, like, she must be good in bed.
Right?
That lady, she got you to kill your wife and hired you as the nanny. And
with the whole Chris Watts situation, that was the same concept. He was, quote unquote, dating another coworker behind the scenes. Wife was out of town, came home at 2:00 in the morning, and he ended up smothering her, and it's horrible. But
that stuff makes me so sad, Cullen. I'm gonna
just
pivot.
Wanting a whole nother life, and the only way to do it is by getting rid of the one that you have is just crazy.
That better not happen to me. I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, right.
Corey, if you want a divorce, just say it. I mean, divorce is not an option until that's an option.
Yeah, right.
And if that's an option, then come at me and we'll talk about it. But I'm gonna pivot because I want to go back. You were talking about the Hollises, and now I got some more YouTube news that might be old. I don't know, but I heard about this girl, and you probably know her name, and you probably heard the story. I don't know who this is, but it just infuriated me that there was this YouTuber.
Yeah, my Straffa.
Do you know what I'm talking about before I say it?
She adopted
a kid
that had autism, and then had him on the vlogs.
Rehomed him.
Yes.
Who rehomes a child?
Yes.
That's what you do to a dog. You don't rehome. Like, even the fact that she's called it, like, I've rehomed him.
Yes, she is being investigated now.
I mean, okay, so for everybody that's listening that it's like me and didn't know who this person is, I just saw it like pop up and was like, "What's this?" Because I've been doing a lot of thought about adoption. And so, already. Yeah, I do want. I'm thinking I might want to adopt like 2, but anyway, my body can't handle being pregnant anymore. let's just get rid of that now. I think we're gonna have more naturally, but I have thought a lot about adoption because I think that it would be awesome to give a baby a home for a baby that didn't have one, right? Mm-hmm. So, or that didn't have a good one. So this kid, this is what I understand from the story, and you can help me. This is what happened, everybody. There's this girl, she's a YouTube star, and she got a lot of her fame when she started looking at adopting a baby. Mm-hmm. And so she already had, 4 kids?
I believe so. I don't know.
She already had several of her own that were natural, but then she wanted to adopt. And her channel blew up, and it went from like a couple 100,000. She was already in the YouTube world, but it went from a couple 100,000, I think, to like 750,000. She got a lot of her, her subscribers and stuff from the fact that she was going through this process of adopting a baby. Mm-hmm. And the baby was a Asian baby
with autism.
Well, she didn't know. I don't think she knew that this baby had autism. Did she?
I don't know if she did or not. I think that was one of her quote unquote reasons.
She got the baby when he was like really little, like he was like a baby, and I don't think you can know if the baby has autism until later.
They came out with a video explaining everything. They were both super sad, and I think they legitimately were. Like, I don't think.
Well, listen.
I don't want to defend her in any way, shape, or form.
She has adopted this baby, and then she treats. This baby's been in her life for 5 years or something. Several years she's had this child, and she and her husband decided that it was just too hard to care for this baby that has autism. That they have rehomed him, and she just kept about her life, and she's made hundreds, I'm sure hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars by her channel, where she has done brand deals and done advertising and stuff for, and YouTube views alone probably got her a bunch of her money. I mean, you know how the YouTube thing works. So she's made a bunch of money.
The only reason that this all, I think, came about initially was because a lot of the fans in the community were like, where's your kid?
Right. So she keeps vlogging like nothing's happened. Yeah. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, well, why have we not seen the baby in a long time? Because a lot of these people watch her because they started watching her journey from the time she went to go adopt. And then she had to come out finally and say, it was too hard for them to have this baby with autism, that they have rehomed him with a different family. So they've given up the baby and they've, put the baby somewhere else. Okay, this is what pisses me off. I don't care what your intentions are. I don't know if she... I'm mad. I don't even know these people. I don't watch their YouTube channel or anything like that. They might be perfectly nice people and really tried and couldn't do it, but what if that was your own child? What if you actually had that baby yourself and that baby had autism? And then are you the kind of person that you're like, I'm just going to rehome? Yeah. And then somebody, I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and they were like, well, if it's truly what's best for the child, for that child to go to a different home that's better suited to take care of them, you know. But it just seems to me, it seems so much like you just basically did this for money and the fame that came with it. And
then when it got a little too hard, you just gave up.
Right.
Or it got a little harder than you expected. You gave up and then tried to, I think that was one of the biggest aspects to it, is they try to just go on about their life like nobody was going to notice.
Nobody's going to notice,
and so that made it even anymore. Stand out more.
Like, so what are your thoughts on this? Because I know that there's probably a whole bunch of different ways to look at it, but my way of looking at it is like, you just abandoned that poor baby, you know, and that baby didn't ask to come live with you. You went looking for him,
right.
and then you give him a home and this, you know, sense of security and this life and this routine and this schedule and siblings that are your kids already, like.
And now he's got to start over at 5 years old. That's like Gaines. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, you know, as far as the autistic spectrum goes, as far as what that does mentally too, as far as
I can't imagine that it's good, right? Because you're supposed to be kind of like with a family. Like, that's the biggest thing that that I love about the idea of adopting, is that I can take a baby that doesn't have a schedule, doesn't have a routine, doesn't have a family that loves them, and then love them and give them that stability and that safety and you know. I just
wonder what the straw was that broke the camel's back. Like, at what point did they say
this is too hard?
Well, and I think in their response video they talked about how there were some certain aspects of the way he was. Physically or mentally, I guess, and physically with the other children. Like, you know, it's kind of like, if you want to compare it to, and I'm again not defending this family whatsoever, but how many times, this just goes to show you what quote unquote rehoming is, how many times have people gotten a puppy and then the puppy bites the little baby and then they say, oh, we got to rehome that. But so they kind of referred to it in their response video, I think, from what I can remember, that, you know, he was being a little too physical with their own kids and not taking no for it, you know.
Yeah.
And throwing like glass cup. Like, at what point? But I mean, again, if my kid threw, when you adopt somebody, that is your kid now.
That is your kid. That's my whole thing.
Kid.
That's what's disgusting about it.
So if the kid throws a cup and you freaking do what you do.
If it was your own kid.
Yeah, like it's your kid. Yeah. Like, discipline them and look up and do research on how to discipline them with the autism and whatever the case may be, like the strategies behind that. And
yeah, why don't you spend some of that hundreds of thousands of dollars you made off
right.
of that little boy, getting him some help and a nanny, then some, you know what I mean? Like somebody that specializes in autistic children and dealing with that and blah, blah, blah.
Well, she's under investigation now for deeper stuff, I think, based on that, because they're still trying to figure out the exact nature of the rehoming. Because nobody's seen the new family, so have they really rehomed? They're still
is this like a stunt?
Yeah, and then all of his pictures are deleted off of her social. All their adoption videos have been privated since this went live.
Yeah, because I was going to say they're probably making a ton of money now because everybody's talking about them. That everyone wants to see this boy and blah, blah.
And the worst part about it is all adoption cases are confidential. So there's no information that we can get publicly necessarily until they come out with it.
Which is probably best for the kid.
Exactly.
I just feel so bad for him. Like, this little kid that had this family and thought that he had his, like, forever home and that this is his mommy and this is his daddy, is now just gave up. And I guess they're no worse than anybody else that gives up their kid because they just don't want to deal with it. But I don't know.
Well, he is better off.
He is better off
now than he ever was.
Them people didn't deserve him.
Exactly. And
true.
Watch, he's going to change the world. He is literally going to change the world now, and then it's going to be
jokes on you, lady.
Yeah, and that was by, what was her name, Micah and James Stauffer.
Yeah, there's a little pop news for y'all.
Yeah.
In case I hadn't heard about that one.
You know, the whole freaking babies and divorce and well, shoot, they may get a divorce right now. You saw Chauvin, the police officer, going back to this.
His wife filed for divorce
the day after he got convicted and taken off.
She was waiting on.
She was like, I don't want his last name. I was like, well, damn. Like, and they've been married for 10 years, I think. And she completely split.
What would you do if Katie murdered somebody?
She She wouldn't.
I know, but I'm just saying, what if that was her? What if she was you thought she was an upstanding, cop or whatever?
Well, see, I think that is a telltale sign right there that wife just dipped immediately, got her name changed.
She's probably getting beat at home.
She didn't want any. Yeah, she saw
too scared to say anything because he was a cop.
Exactly.
I'm making that up. I don't know.
No, I mean, she probably saw the "Make America White Again" hats in the closet.
Somebody came and commented and said that wasn't actually him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if we're wrong about that, sorry.
We're probably wrong about a lot of stuff.
It doesn't matter. He's still a murderer.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad. Speaking of, too, I saw a video, and I just want to say this. This is probably very controversial, but my mom actually sent me this video, and it's very eye-opening for me. I did not know that George Floyd was had so many.
He had a rap sheet.
Y'all. So I don't know. I feel like
murder is still murder, though.
Murder's still murder. Yeah. He didn't deserve to die just because he's a criminal. That's for sure. But it's just it makes me look at him in a different way. Like I don't want a T-shirt with his face on it after seeing. Like I'm not gonna go buy a shirt like yay, we love this guy. He was such an upstanding citizen when he really wasn't.
Like I said last time, it's kind of like the perfect storm of everything that kind of accumulated to this point, but.
He just happens to be the martyr for this cause, and that's, he shouldn't have died. Again, I'll say it 100 times. He definitely should not have lost his life, but I heard, I found out more. He had drugs in the system. He had, and then, some of the things that he's gone to prison for, one of which and I think maybe this one hit me the most because I was just pregnant, but he broke into this lady's house with 5 other guys or whatever, and he ended up going to prison for this. He'd been to prison 5 or 6 times for different things like theft with a gun and blah blah blah. Well, anyway, I think the last time he went to jail was for 5 years, and this girl was talking about this, and somebody commented, what's her name? Candace Owens. Candace Owens is the video that I saw where she was talking about this, and I didn't know before I heard this video, but apparently he broke into this lady's house and she was pregnant, and he put his gun to her belly and threatened to kill basically her and her unborn child. And when I heard that, I was just like, what a piece of shit. I mean, I'm sorry. I know, again, he shouldn't have lost his life because he was a criminal, but at the same time, I don't think he was this outstanding citizen that everybody's making out to be. He was. The
cop was a bad apple. He's a piece of shit. The guy putting a gun to a pregnant belly is a piece of shit too. It doesn't matter however you want to boil those bad apples, it's going to get boiled down. Yeah. Well, and I mean, again, what she did was just simple Google research to figure all this out before jumping on the bandwagon. And she's an African American.
Fentanyl and methamphetamine.
I mean, she's a black girl. She is a black girl preaching all this, and so I mean. I don't know. Yeah, it was.
But I thought that was a very interesting video, so y'all go watch it because it definitely, because you don't hear any of the stuff in the news about some of the crimes he's committed in his past, and everybody deserves a second chance, and everybody deserves to get better and do better. There's also pictures out there of
him holding the Bible and standing with his brothers at church. I mean, it's both.
People can get better. People can get better, but I can't imagine that. If he had all these drugs in his system, that he was of completely his right mind. Because she said in the video, he had the police called on him because of the way he was acting, because he was too much on drugs. Mm-hmm. Drug addiction is a real thing, y'all. If you need help and you have an addiction, please seek help.
I need to find some links to. We haven't had a chance, or didn't think to put links in the last video to do any of this support. I don't want to just bombard it with links, because I think that's what a lot of people have done, and I'm just scrolled right past them. I hadn't even tried to look at it because it's there's 20. But
Google it.
20
you
links.
Can Google it. Yeah, get some help.
Find stuff that you want to support it and help yourself as far as the addiction stuff goes.
Yeah, too. But if y'all want something interesting that's a different take on everything that you might not be seeing in the media and the way that people are upholding, And not to say that the cop isn't a bad guy. He's still a murderer. He's still a piece of shit. So, but it was just a very interesting video to watch. Her name is Candace Owens, right?
Candace Owens.
Candace Owens.
Put that link in the description.
We'll try to put that in there so y'all can go see it. And anyway, it was just a different viewpoint, and from somebody that is. She's a black girl, and she was saying, I'm not going to represent this. I'm not going to change the narrative and make it out like this guy was this, saint when he wasn't. And there are good people out there that are losing their lives because of the riots and the stuff and the, So anyway, it's just something else if y'all want to fill your head with the other side of it and try to look at it from all angles. If you're into that thing, go check her out. So that was interesting.
I heard that name. I think, did you say that already?
Somebody commented
on the last video.
it.
So we need to get her on the podcast. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. We are going to try it now that we're back in the studio. We're going to try to get some more guests on. If y'all have any ideas of who you'd like to see on the Don't Tell Mom podcast, please leave it in your voice messages or on your comments or on the YouTube or whatever, and we'll see it.
Give this a 5-star rating on iTunes. That really helps us out a lot.
Yeah. Share with your friends. Share it on all your social media platforms.
And we'll be here for the 2-year anniversary. We gotta jump out of a plane next week.
I'm not pregnant. I can do something crazy. Let's do some crazy shit next week, Cullen. We'll figure it out.
I don't know.
We're gonna be thinking on that. If y'all have any ideas for what we should do for our 2-year, leave it in the comments below.
All right, here we go.
Another
Episode
week
103 in the books. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see y'all next week. Don't tell Mom.
Peace.
Nailed it that time.
Every time, Cullen.